In the twilight of Emperor Nero's reign, as Rome's gilded arrogance stretched across continents like a suffocating shroud, Britannia's emerald forests bore witness to a cataclysm that would fracture the empire as invincible facade, a rebellion forged not just in blood but in the shattered soul of a queen whose name became a forbidden hymn. Boudica, flame-haired sovereign of the Iceni, had once stood beside her husband, King Prasutagus, as a loyal client ruler, her torques glinting in tribute to Rome's hollow promises of partnership. But when Prasutagus died, leaving half his kingdom to Nero in a desperate bid for mercy, Roman procurators descended like vultures, stripping palaces bare, flogging nobles into the mud, and binding Boudica's wrists as soldiers dragged her teenage daughters, their screams muffled by the clatter of armor, into tents stinking of wine and sweat. As the queen knelt, her back lashed raw, she locked eyes with a raven perched atop a desecrated Druid stone, its cry echoing Andraste's war drums in her veins, and vowed not just revenge, but annihilation. For months disguised as a peasant crone, she traversed frost-bitten marshlands and hill forts choked with mist, her voice weaving alliances with Trinovantes seething over Roman taxes that stole their ancestral farms, Coritani warriors whose sacred groves were defiled for Legionnaire barracks and Druid outcasts, whispering of a great cleansing fire, foretold in star-scorched prophecies. By spring 60 AD, her horde surged. 100,000 Celts, chariots shrieking like vengeful furies, their faces streaked with woad and the ash of burned treaties. Camulodunum, Rome's veteran colony, fell first. Retired soldiers feasting on imported figs choked on Celtic spears, their villa's mosaic floors cracking under the weight of severed heads stacked like grisly trophies. Children ASC toys trampled under hooves as Boudica AS daughters, now hollow-eyed commanders, ordered the city baptized in flame, its temple to Claudius reduced to a pyre for Roman hubris. Londinium's merchants, heedless of fleeing rats and the distant thunder of war horns, met horror unimagined. Boudica's cavalry trampled refugees into the Thames's silt-choked waters, her warriors impaling mothers, clutching infants on stolen pilum shafts, the air thick with the sweet rot stench of burning grain stores and the metallic tang of blood pooling in gutters. Yet beneath the carnage lay darker machinations. In a moonlit grove veiled by ancient yews, Druid elders slit the throats of Roman centurions over a cauldron of mistletoe broth and adder venom, their chants binding Boudica's spirit to the land itself. As your body may fall, your wrath shall rise again and rock and root until Rome's bones crumble to dust. When Governor Suetonius, a tactician as merciless as winter frost, rallied his legions near Watling Street, he chose a narrow gorge flanked by dense woods, funneling Boudica's tidal wave of fury into a killbox. His 10,000 shields interlocked like scale mail, rained javelins into the Celtic throng, their screams drowned by the crash of iron on oak. But as Boudica's chariot circled the fray, her crimson hair blazing like a war banner, she glimpsed a familiar face among Suetonius's ranks, a Trinovanti chieftain, now draped in Roman gold, who'd betrayed her battle plans in exchange for his tribe's pardons. With a roar that silenced the battlefield, she hurled her spear at the traitor, its tip grazing his throat before her own warriors, packed too tightly to retreat, were butchered in the press. Yet in defeat she laughed, her voice echoing across the corpse-strewn field. "You'd think this ends with swords? I am the storm in your nightmares, the whisper in your wife's doubts, the rot in your empire's heart." Swallowing a phial of belladonna, she clasped her daughter's hands as they plunged daggers into their own chests, their blood seeping into soil that would birth 1,000 legends. Rome declared victory, but Britannia festered with ghosts. Legionnaires on Hadrian AS walls swore Boudica, as spectral chariot materialized in the northern mists, drawn by steeds with eyes like smoldering coals, while farmers spat at shrines to Jupiter, blaming blighted crops on the queen's curse. Nero, tormented by night terrors of a red-haired wraith strangling him with her torque, ordered every scroll mentioning her name burned. Yet in 2021, beneath a Norfolk parking lot, archaeologists uncovered a lead curse tablet etched with a Legionnaire-esque confession. "We buried 800 rebels alive here, but their screams, they weren't human. She's in the earth. She's in us." Decades later, the 9th Legion, Rome's Hispana pride, marched into Caledonia's gloom and vanished, their armor dredged from peat bogs a century later, helmets cradling skulls gnawed by wolves. coins in their purses mysteriously stamped with Boudica's snarling visage. And in 2023, beneath Rome's Colosseum, graffiti surfaced, a crude carving of a chariot crushing an eagle, dated 80 AD, with scrawled Latin, "Beware the Iceni witch, she drinks Caesar's tears." Tomorrow we unearth the Ninth's final hours, how they marched into a storm singing her name, how their bones became her crown, and why even now shadowed figures in Whitehall whisper that London's Great Fire of 1666 began where Boudica's flames once roared. Smash subscribe. The dead are listening.